Hello, I'm Hope Logan. I am an actor on Bold and the Beautiful, and many people really love both me and our Bold and the Beautiful drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved Bold and the Beautiful. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. The tension inside the halls of the Bold and the Beautiful was already simmering beneath the surface, but now it feels dangerously close to boiling over, as Brooke Logan Forrester finds herself standing at the center of a storm that could change everything at Forrester Creations. What began as a heartfelt conversation between mother and daughter slowly transformed into something far more explosive, setting the stage for a power struggle that threatens to fracture relationships, loyalties, and the very foundation of the family empire itself. Hope Logan Spencer, fiercely protective of her mother and deeply convinced of Brooke's value, has been steadily building Brooke's confidence, reminding her again and again of the influence, grace, and experience she brings to the company. In Hope's eyes, Brooke has spent years standing beside powerful men, helping carry the Forrester legacy on her shoulders, while rarely receiving the recognition she truly deserves. That belief reached an emotional breaking point during the May 7th episode, when Hope passionately insisted that her mother should no longer stand in the background. Through tears and raw emotion, she painted a vision of Brooke and Ridge Forrester ruling the company together, just as Eric Forrester and Stephanie Forrester once did during the golden era of the fashion dynasty. It was more than just business advice in that moment. It was Hope giving her mother permission to finally reach for the power she has secretly longed for all along. As Brooke listened to her daughter's heartfelt words, something inside her visibly shifted. The emotion in her eyes revealed years of longing, sacrifice, and unfinished dreams quietly resurfacing all at once. The idea of standing beside Ridge, not just as his wife, but as his equal in every sense, awakened something powerful inside her. For Brooke, the image of becoming part of a legendary power couple clearly carried an irresistible emotional pull. She could almost see herself reclaiming a place of influence and authority, stepping into a role that would solidify her status within the family and the company forever. But that dream comes with a dangerous price, because the position Brooke now seems to desire is none other than the one currently occupied by Steffy Forrester Finnegan. And if there is one thing Steffy does not tolerate, it is anyone threatening her place inside the Forrester empire. The moment Steffy discovers Brooke's intentions, the atmosphere at Forrester Creations is likely to erupt into outright war. Steffy has spent years fighting to protect her family's legacy, battling through betrayals, rivalries, and endless Logan versus Forrester conflicts that have shaped her entire life. To her, Brooke stepping forward now may not look like ambition or leadership. It may look like manipulation wrapped in emotional theatrics. Steffy could easily interpret Brooke's co-CEO push as another calculated Logan move designed to slowly seize control of the company piece by piece. The betrayal will likely feel even more personal because Brooke is not just an outsider, she is family, which makes the threat cut even deeper. In Steffy's eyes, Brooke may suddenly become exactly what she has always feared, another Logan willing to undermine the Forresters from within. And once Steffy feels cornered, she rarely backs down quietly. As emotions intensify, Steffy may completely dig her heels in and refuse to surrender an inch of her authority. Rather than allowing Brooke to rise beside Ridge, Steffy could retaliate with ruthless force, demanding that Brooke be removed from the company altogether. The confrontation would not simply be about titles or office politics anymore. It would become deeply personal, fueled by years of resentment, distrust, and unresolved family wounds that have never truly healed. Steffy may accuse Brooke of being manipulative, opportunistic, and incapable of respecting boundaries, especially when power is involved. To Steffy, Brooke's actions could prove that the Logans have never truly been loyal to Forrester Creations, only loyal to their own ambitions. And if Steffi reaches that conclusion, she may decide the only solution is to purge the company of Logan influence entirely. The once glamorous fashion empire could suddenly become the battleground for a vicious family civil war, where every conversation carries the weight of betrayal. At the same time, another major shift is already beginning to take shape in the background. With Hope Logan Spencer seemingly destined to join Katie Logan Spencer's fashion house, Steffi may view the transition as the perfect opportunity to push Brooke out the door as well. In Steffi's mind, if Hope is leaving, perhaps Brooke should follow her daughter and sister, instead of remaining at Forrester Creations. The possibility alone creates a chilling emotional divide inside the family, because it suggests Steffi no longer sees coexistence as possible. Instead, she may adopt a cold and unforgiving goodbye and good riddance mentality, convinced that removing as many Logans as possible will finally restore balance to the company. The emotional cruelty of that stance would only deepen Brooke's heartbreak, especially after dedicating so many years of her life to the Forrester family and their business. Suddenly, the woman who once believed she belonged there could find herself treated like an unwanted outsider all over again. And the deeper the hostility grows, the harder it becomes to imagine peace ever returning between these two powerful women. But perhaps the person facing the greatest emotional torment in all of this is Ridge Forrester himself. Caught painfully between the woman he loves and the daughter he would do anything to protect, Ridge now stands directly in the center of an impossible conflict with no easy solution. Every choice he makes risks devastating someone important to him. If he supports Brooke's desire to rise within the company, he risks alienating Steffi and confirming her fears that the Logans are taking over. But if he sides with Steffi and rejects Brooke's ambitions, he could deeply wound his marriage and leave Brooke feeling unsupported and discarded once again. The pressure mounting on Ridge threatens to pull him apart emotionally, forcing him to confront painful questions about loyalty, family, and the future he truly wants. In many ways, this crisis feels larger than a corporate power struggle. It feels like a reckoning years in the making, where old divisions between Logan and Forrester are resurfacing with greater intensity than ever before. As the drama continues to build, the atmosphere surrounding Brooke and Steffi grows heavier with every passing moment. Their future confrontations promise to be explosive, emotional, and impossible to ignore, filled with sharp accusations, wounded pride, and deeply personal attacks that could leave permanent scars on both sides. Neither woman is known for backing down when challenged, especially when family, love, and power are involved. Brooke may fight fiercely for the future she believes she deserves beside Ridge, while Steffi may become equally determined to defend her place in the empire her family built. The emotional stakes are enormous because this battle threatens not only careers and leadership positions, but relationships that have already survived decades of heartbreak and betrayal. And as viewers watch the tension tighten like a slowly snapping wire, one devastating question hangs over everything. When the dust finally settles, will Brooke remain at Forrester Creations, or will she walk away from the company and begin an entirely new chapter alongside Katie and Hope? One thing is certain, the war between Brooke and Steffi is only beginning, and the emotional fallout could change the future of the bold and the beautiful forever. The emotional earthquake rippling through Forrester Creations refuses to settle, and with every passing hour, the atmosphere inside the iconic fashion house grows colder, sharper, and far more dangerous. Brooke Logan Forrester may have entered this situation believing she was finally stepping into the recognition she deserved, but now the consequences of that dream are beginning to close in around her from every direction. The company hallways that once felt familiar and welcoming are slowly transforming into hostile territory, filled with tense glances, whispered suspicions, and growing divisions that threaten to split the Forrester family straight down the middle. What makes the situation even more painful is that Brooke never expected Hope's emotional encouragement to ignite such a vicious chain reaction. In her heart, Brooke saw herself as someone capable of strengthening the company beside Ridge, not tearing it apart. But in the unforgiving world of power, legacy, and family politics, good intentions rarely matter once people begin fighting for control. And now, every move Brooke makes seems destined to be viewed through the lens of betrayal. For Steffy Forrester Finnegan, the betrayal feels deeply personal in ways few people truly understand. She has spent most of her life watching the endless cycles of conflict between the Forresters and the Logans, witnessing relationships crumble, alliances shift, and emotional wounds reopen again and again. To Steffy, Brooke's sudden desire for co-CEO status may feel like history repeating itself in the worst possible way. She may convince herself that Brooke has always wanted more than love from Ridge, that beneath the romance and family ties, there has always been a hunger for influence and control. Those fears could slowly harden into anger, and that anger may soon explode into fierce confrontations that shake the entire company. Steffy is not the type of woman to quietly surrender power, especially when she believes her family's legacy is under attack. The deeper her resentment grows, the more determined she may become to remove Brooke from the equation entirely, no matter how painful or messy the fallout becomes. And once Steffy decides someone cannot be trusted, she rarely changes her mind. Meanwhile, Brooke finds herself trapped in a heartbreaking emotional contradiction. On one hand, she cannot deny how empowering it felt to hear Hope speak so passionately about her worth and potential. After years of sacrifice, heartbreak, and standing beside Ridge through countless storms, Brooke finally allowed herself to imagine a future where she was treated as an equal partner instead of someone constantly fighting for validation. Yet on the other hand, she can already feel the growing hostility surrounding her, and that realization carries a devastating emotional weight. Brooke understands better than anyone how fragile peace within the Forrester family truly is. She knows one wrong move can ignite wars that last for years, destroying relationships far beyond repair. The possibility that her ambition could drive a permanent wedge between Ridge and Steffy may begin haunting her more than she expected. And as the pressure intensifies, Brooke could find herself questioning whether the dream of power beside Ridge is truly worth the emotional destruction unfolding around them. At the center of the storm stands Ridge Forrester, increasingly overwhelmed by the impossible position he has been forced into. Every conversation now feels loaded with tension, every family interaction weighted with unspoken expectations. When he looks at Brooke, he sees the woman he loves, a woman who has stood beside him through decades of passion, heartbreak, reconciliation, and chaos. But when he looks at Steffy, he sees his daughter, fiercely protective of the family legacy and terrified of losing her place within it. Ridge may desperately want to keep peace between them, yet the conflict is rapidly reaching a point where neutrality is no longer possible. Eventually, he will have to choose where he stands, and everyone around him knows it. That looming decision casts a heavy shadow over every moment, because no matter what Ridge decides, someone he deeply loves will walk away hurt. The emotional strain building inside him threatens to become unbearable as the battle between Brooke and Steffy spirals further out of control. At the same time, Hope Logan Spencer's growing involvement only adds more fuel to the fire. Hope truly believes she is defending her mother and helping Brooke claim the respect she deserves. But others may see her actions very differently. Steffy could easily interpret Hope's encouragement as part of a larger Logan agenda, convincing herself that mother and daughter are working together to slowly take over the company from within. That suspicion could reignite old rivalries between Hope and Steffy with even greater intensity than before. Years of unresolved resentment between them may suddenly resurface, transforming workplace disagreements into deeply emotional personal warfare. Every interaction could become sharper, colder, and more confrontational as trust completely erodes between the two sides. And with Hope potentially preparing to work at Katie Logan Spencer's fashion house, the divide between the Logan women and Forrester creations may grow wider than ever before. What once looked like a family disagreement may soon resemble a full-scale separation between two powerful dynasties. As whispers spread through the company, employees and family members alike may begin choosing sides, creating an atmosphere thick with uncertainty and anxiety. Some may quietly support Brooke, believing her experience and connection to Ridge make her deserving of greater authority. Others may fiercely defend Steffy, convinced she has earned her leadership position through years of hard work and dedication to the Forrester legacy. The division threatens to destabilize the company itself, because when personal conflict infects leadership, the effects ripple outward into every corner of the business. Meetings become tense, conversations become cautious, loyalty becomes currency. And beneath the glamorous surface of the fashion empire, fear and resentment begin spreading like cracks through glass. Yet despite all the anger and hostility brewing beneath the surface, there remains an undeniable emotional tragedy at the heart of this story. Brooke and Steffy are not simply rivals fighting over a company title. They are two women desperately trying to protect what they believe belongs to them: their family, their identity, their future, and the people they love most. Brooke wants recognition, partnership, and a lasting place beside Ridge. Steffy wants security, control, and reassurance that her family's legacy will not slip away. Both women believe they are fighting for something deeply important, which is exactly why neither one is likely to surrender. And that is what makes the coming battle so emotionally explosive. Because when pride, love, family history, and power collide all at once, the damage left behind can become impossible to undo. Now the stage is set for a series of fierce face-offs that could permanently alter the future of the bold and the beautiful. Tempers are rising, alliances are shifting, and the emotional stakes continue climbing higher with every confrontation waiting on the horizon. Brooke may soon discover that reaching for power inside the Forrester empire comes with consequences she never fully anticipated, while Steffy may risk pushing her family into deeper chaos in her determination to protect what she believes is hers. And somewhere in the middle of it all, Ridge stands frozen between two worlds, knowing that whichever side he ultimately chooses may forever change the people he loves, and the family they have spent years trying to hold together. The deeper this conflict spirals, the more Forrester Creations begins to feel less like a glamorous fashion empire and more like a battlefield disguised beneath designer lights and polished smiles. Behind the elegant office doors and luxurious runway presentations, emotions are unraveling at an alarming pace, and every passing day seems to pull Brooke Logan Forrester and Steffy Forrester Finnegan closer to a collision neither of them can avoid. What once started as Hope Logan Spencer's heartfelt attempt to uplift her mother has now evolved into a full-scale emotional war that threatens to tear apart the fragile balance holding the family together. The pain building beneath the surface is impossible to ignore, because this fight is no longer simply about a co-CEO position. It has become a struggle over legacy, belonging, and the fear of being replaced. And as those fears grow stronger, so does the bitterness consuming everyone caught in the middle. For Brooke, the emotional toll may begin weighing on her more heavily than she expected. In quiet moments away from the chaos, she may start reflecting on everything she has sacrificed over the years for Ridge and the Forrester family. She has loved fiercely, forgiven endlessly, and endured humiliation, heartbreak, and rejection more times than she can count. There were moments when she stood by Ridge even when the rest of the family turned against her, believing that love and loyalty would eventually earn her a permanent place within the dynasty. So when Hope encouraged her to finally step into a leadership role beside Ridge, Brooke likely saw it as more than a promotion. To her, it felt like validation for a lifetime of emotional investment. Yet now, instead of feeling empowered, she may begin to realize that the dream she reached for is slowly isolating her from the very family she fought so hard to become part of. At the same time, Steffy's anger may continue hardening into something colder and far more dangerous. Every conversation about Brooke's possible rise within the company may deepen Steffi's belief that the Logans are attempting to take over territory that rightfully belongs to the Forresters. To Steffy, this is not just corporate politics. It is personal history repeating itself yet again. She has watched Brooke become intertwined with her family for years, sometimes bringing love and support, but often bringing emotional destruction and chaos in the process. Those old scars may now reopen with fresh intensity, making it nearly impossible for Steffi to separate past resentment from present events. The more she thinks about Brooke sitting beside Ridge as co-CEO, the more threatened she may feel, as though her own role, authority, and connection to her father are slowly being pushed aside. That fear could transform into ruthless determination, pushing Steffi toward decisions that shock even the people closest to her. And perhaps nowhere will that ruthlessness become clearer than in Steffi's growing desire to purge Forrester creations of Logan influence once and for all. What begins as frustration may soon evolve into a calculated campaign to reclaim control of the company entirely. With Hope seemingly preparing to move toward Katie Logan Spencer's fashion house, Steffi could view the moment as the perfect opportunity to sever ties completely. Brooke may soon find herself facing not just rejection from Steffi, but active pressure to leave the company behind altogether. The emotional cruelty of such a move would be devastating, especially for Brooke, who has devoted so much of her life to the Forrester name. To suddenly be treated as disposable, as though her years of loyalty meant nothing, could break something inside her emotionally. Yet, even in the face of rejection, Brooke may refuse to back down quietly, because losing her position now would feel like losing her identity all over again. Meanwhile, Ridge Forrester's world continues collapsing inward as the women he loves move further apart with every confrontation. The pressure surrounding him grows unbearable because everyone expects him to take a side even if he desperately wishes he did not have to. Brooke wants his support, his loyalty, and confirmation that he sees her as an equal partner deserving of greater power. Steffi wants reassurance that her father still prioritizes his family legacy above all else and will not allow Brooke to threaten it. Ridge may try to mediate, calm tensions, and convince both sides to compromise, but the emotional damage may already be too deep for simple solutions. Every attempt to stay neutral risks making both Brooke and Steffi feel abandoned in different ways. And the longer Ridge hesitates, the more likely it becomes that the conflict will explode beyond anyone's control. The tragedy is that Ridge understands exactly what is at stake, not just the company, but the fragile emotional bonds holding his family together. As tensions rise, the atmosphere inside the family becomes painfully fractured. Conversations that once felt warm and familiar now carry layers of suspicion and emotional distance. Even simple interactions may become loaded with hidden meaning, as though everyone is carefully watching each other for signs of betrayal. Family dinners could turn tense and uncomfortable. Meetings at Forrester Creations may feel like emotional minefields, where one wrong comment triggers another explosive confrontation. The division between Logan and Forrester grows sharper with every passing moment, pulling people into rival camps whether they want to choose sides or not. And beneath all the anger lies something even sadder, the growing realization that some wounds may never fully heal after this battle ends. Hope. Logan Spencer may soon begin realizing that her attempt to empower her mother has unintentionally unleashed consequences far larger than she imagined. While Hope genuinely believed Brooke deserved more recognition and authority, she may now watch in heartbreak as her encouragement pushes the family deeper into chaos. Seeing Ridge torn apart emotionally and Brooke facing increasing hostility may leave Hope burdened with guilt she never anticipated. At the same time, however, Hope is unlikely to abandon Brooke now, especially if Steffi intensifies her efforts to push the Logans out completely. Instead, Hope may become even more protective of her mother, strengthening the divide between the two families even further. What began as emotional support may ultimately evolve into a fierce family alliance, with Brooke, Hope, and Katie standing together against the growing pressure surrounding them. And looming over everything is the terrifying possibility that this war could permanently reshape the future of the bold and the beautiful forever. Brooke and Steffi's rivalry has always carried emotional intensity, but this time feels different. This time, the stakes are not limited to love triangles or temporary disagreements. This battle threatens careers, marriages, family loyalty, and the future direction of the Forrester empire itself. One wrong decision could send relationships crashing beyond repair. One explosive confrontation could leave emotional scars that last for years. And as viewers watch the tension tighten with each passing episode, it becomes increasingly clear that no one will escape this war unchanged. The glamour of the fashion world may still shine on the surface, but underneath it all, hearts are breaking, trust is crumbling, and a devastating reckoning is drawing closer with every moment.